How many Hall of Fame movie theater foods are there? How many?
Well, it starts with popcorn.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate the
Yep,
no
first
help
ballot.
at all. Right,
Yep.
right.
Yep.
That's not what I was really asking.
You do liquid butter
How
or
many
no
are
liquid butter on the popcorn?
I go
I like liquid butter.
Yeah, you gotta get the liquid butter.
Lots of it, tons of it, drenched. Yes.
Now to get the popcorn season.
Butter's good.
I like when they switched over and you have the machine where you can do it to yourself. Because sometimes if you ask people, hey, get a little butter, they just like, boop, boop, and that's it, just squirt. Now they have it on the other side of the thing. You just hold down that thing, brrr, and it all comes out, and you can put as much butter as you want, Dan.
I would say Twizzlers also in the movie theater food Hall of Fame. Twizzlers is a staple.
You mentioned Raisinets.
I like Raisinets.
Raisinets are
Raisinets
great.
too.
Milk Duds.
Snow caps.
Whoa!
So does that close it out? Does that close out the category of a movie theater Hall of Fame food? Snow caps, Raisinets, Milk Duds.
Ices.
The icy,
the
Coke
ices.
icy, Coca-Cola icy. So
Duckhorn Merlot.
good. Yeah. Oh, you gotta go Coke.
Oh, yeah, they serve alcohol. Yeah.
Live from ESPN Studios in South Beach. It's the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Love the most when LeBron reminds everyone that whoever the newcomer is or the next alleged challenger to his throne, he scores a career high 40. I'm sorry, season high 40 last night playing against Zion Williamson. They beat Zion Williamson. I do wonder, as it regards LeBron James, and this is a fairly flabbergasting thing to say, given that ESPN has become an infomercial for LeBron for years, and he is the modern-day Michael Jordan and Muhammad Ali. But I do feel like we're going to look back. If he knocks out, for example, Giannis and wins a championship, we're going to look back and have some remorse about how cruel we were in our assessments of seeing someone who was unprecedented and always predicting his downfall, always predicting the next great, this guy is the best player in the sport, with some great need to make Kawhi Leonard the best player in the sport instead of LeBron James. And one of the people who's cruel perpetually is Skip Bayless, and now he's wondering why LeBron didn't go to Kobe Bryant's memorial, and LeBron James was sort of evasive, so one assumes that he didn't go to the Kobe memorial. But why? Like, what are we doing there? Like, is it because Michael Jordan flew across the country that LeBron has to be at a memorial that isn't allowed to grieve the way that he wants to grieve or has to grieve?
Well, I think people are just wondering, Laker, good friend, has taken the torch from Kobe Bryant. I think people would find it odd if LeBron was a guy who didn't show up to that service. They would find it odd. I'm not telling him how to grieve, but people would find that odd.
Why is his attendance necessary? Honestly, who cares? It's not about LeBron. Why is everybody trying to figure out if he was there or not? He wasn't there. It would seem obvious, right? Because they showed every basketball player and every person of note that was there. But if he chose not to go, who cares? Why do you have to make it about whether or not LeBron was there?
I read that he was there and that he requested to not be shown and that he was in a hoodie and that at one point Diana Taurasi referenced him in it and she kind of pointed. Like you could see her say, LeBron didn't even get that fadeaway and he's in his whatever year he's in. And she gives a look over as if he is there and he made some request to just leave me out of this. I don't want to be shown.
I would say that we need takes, and LeBron has been a take machine for 10 years. He's been a content producer, whatever it is, and because this one's difficult to talk about, because how many times can you say we're all in pain about this? There have to be talking points, and so somebody's going to plant their flag where Skip Bayless does, which is question whether someone's at a funeral or
but he's not the only one. There's reporters going up directly asking LeBron. Skip's not the only person that's doing this. A lot of people are doing it, and it's kind of gross.
And I'm telling you why it's happening, though, because he's the perpetual content machine over the last decade for all of us. And whatever is happening around him, whether it's Taco Tuesday or something else, his fame is such in this sphere that whatever he's doing or not doing becomes something to take sides on.
I mean, I didn't really care about it, whether he was there or not, until Rich Paul came out with a very bizarre statement. Oh, he's in his own space, and just adding to this mystery.
Right.
I'm like,
So it's almost as if Rich Paul made this a thing with that comment. I think that's where the attention to it is drawn. Also, just from the very top, we're an infomercial for LeBron, but we're not giving him enough credit.
Yeah,
That is correct. We televise all things LeBron. I should say, because an infomercial, I guess, is all positive, right?
Yeah.
The network, you tell me what the network has covered more in the last 10 years than LeBron James.
He is the athlete of our time.
Who's second?
Colin Kaepernick.
Is it
Probably.
Yes,
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick. And then Tebow.
Oh, Brady.
Tiger Woods in there somewhere?
Tiger Woods.
I mean,
and then
Kobe's
Brady.
in
That's a
there.
top 5.
Yeah.
Kobe? Yeah.
Yeah.
Lynn.
Jeremy Lin.
Oh, Lynn, for those 2 weeks. Linsanity.
Yeah.
I mean-
Johnny Manziel.
Can we go back to those 2 weeks for a second?
Back-to-back SI covers.
Linsane. I mean,
2 straight weeks. How many Sports Illustrated covers was Jeremy Lin?
back to back.
Was he? He was back to back.
I believe so.
Is that true? I want to, Mike Ryan, help me out here, because one of the things that happens around here is I will throw out an idea and we sometimes fertilize it, and many times what happens is everyone just hopes I forget about it.
It was back to back.
Back-to-back Sports Illustrated covers for Jeremy Lin. The thing that I was throwing around with Mike Ryan, March is a big month for us. We do our March Madness tournament. It is very popular. It's our Looks Like tournament. I don't know any details for what it is we're going to be doing beginning March 17th with this tournament, but I'm looking forward to all of it because we have a lot of fun with that, not covering college basketball. But the thing I wanted to ask Mike Ryan is, and I know that there's some degree of difficulty on this, and we need to get the help of the audience, because the audience makes the Looks Like game the clever thing that it is. The audience is writing all of those, and we have something else that we need to outsource here, but I'm scared of outsourcing it, and I don't know how to outsource it. And Mike Ryan, because, you know, he can be corporate Michael on occasion, and there are times that he is afraid of certain things. I want to have in March, after Black History Month, congratulations to Deontay Wilder for celebrating and honoring Black History Month by wearing a 45-pound costume to the ring that affected his legs, according to him, and allowed Greg Cody the opening to make the great joke that what he could have done to honor Black History Month is knock out the white guy. I want to do, it's the funniest line Greg Cody has ever had on the show. Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at LeBatard Show. Is that the funniest line Greg Cody has ever had on the show? I want to outsource.
Low bar, I mean.
Yes, a low bar, admittedly.
Yeah.
I want to outsource for March a White History Month. Every day, I want to celebrate, always through the prism of sports, right? Because we're not allowed to talk race, and race is allegedly politics now, and politics is not allowed. So we have to do it through the prism of sport. Just examples of funny racism in sports every day. I want to do it every day to celebrate in March White History Month. And Mike Ryan is bucking on this idea because he says, I've sent him a dozen funny ones. He says we don't have a month's worth of funny ones. I've sent you a dozen funny ones,
No,
Mike.
they're funny to you.
Yeah.
Not
March-
to America.
March is also Women's History Month, so you don't want to do that March, Dan. So maybe you kick that back to April.
Well,
Right.
which management style are you guys espousing here? This is too dangerous and edgy, or we hope Dan forgets because we just can't be clever enough to do it? Which is it? Like, which is the management style we're espousing this time?
All right, number one, back off with not clever enough to make it work. It is a very, very dangerous thing. Your punchline is racism. You have to toe the line between
You can't tell me we don't have
Hindsight.
5 things from the Donald Sterling controversy. 5 different things that we could do on a
Look,
whole week
Donald,
of them.
Look, there's Donald Sterling. He has AIDS. You can laugh back with hindsight at what Phil Jackson
that phrase
did.
needs some context for people who don't know with Donald Sterling.
I'm taking March off.
He got AIDS. You can't just say Donald Sterling has AIDS and expect that to be the funny thing in
Well,
White
Donald
History
Sterling
Month.
doesn't have the AIDS.
All right.
But to be fair, neither does Magic Johnson.
That's right.
Yeah, as Anderson Cooper pointed out. Hang on one second. I got to get this. This is. Do you really want to do this? Like, I thought this was dead and buried.
You
Because
were hoping I would forget.
No, we had the conversation.
they
You
were.
texted me. I know you're apprehensive about it. I'm trying to make it work, but there's only so many John Beeline funny instances that you can look back on and say, oh, that was kind of funny and ridiculous.
I think the audience is going to help us find 30 because I feel like I sent you 12. I sent you a dozen of them that I thought.
Yeah, and 6 of them displayed really poor judgment on your part. Yeah, there's nothing funny about John Rocker. Nothing.
That's not true. That is not true at all. The way that the Braves hated him, no. That is not true that there is nothing funny about John Rocker. You've got to be kidding
There is
me.
nothing funny about the John Rocker
You
thing.
don't think a White History Month is funny saying that John Rocker tried to defend himself once by saying he dated a black woman. You don't think that that's funny. John Rocker, you say no to that, right? That's how he tried to defend himself.
That's kind of funny. That's kind of funny.
Let's walk
I'm
that
not
line. That's why I want to walk the line. Outsource it in a really dangerous way because I certainly don't trust much of our audience to be funny here and side on the side of subtlety.
Can we outsource it to Skip?
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. Here's your SportsCenter update. The NFL Players Association's representatives have agreed to the proposed collective bargaining agreement and will send the item to the NFLPA's full membership for vote. The Lakers defeated the Pelicans 118-109. Zion Williamson, 29 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. LeBron James, yes, Dan, he did the thing. 40 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Vivid Seats, the top ticket source for the live events you crave, now is a loyalty program that allows fans to earn credit back. Go to the App Store or Google Play, download the Vivid Seats app, and enter promo code ESPN25 for 10% off your next order. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Courtesy of CNN, here is the context that Mike Ryan did not provide when he said, Donald Sterling, he has AIDS. That's funny.
What has he done? Can you tell me? Big Magic Johnson, what has he done?
Well, he's a business person.
He's got AIDS. Did he do any business? Did he help anybody in South L.A.?
Well, I think he has HIV. He doesn't actually have full-blown AIDS. But
More than Stu from the Clevelander on ESPN Radio.
Other appearance, and these are important appearances, like this is absolutely keep you in your car type stuff for the next 40 minutes because you need to hear it. The future is going to be foretold in 40 minutes by Nostradumbass. He is going to tell you everything that's happening in sports many years from now. The return of Nostradumbass is today at 11 o'clock Eastern. Now, I don't know if these two things are tied together. Rosie Perez, our boxing expert, is going to join us at 12:30 Eastern. I don't know if these two things are tied together, Nostradumbass and me hearing Stugotz when I came in here through soundproof doors singing in a way that I found both jarring and alarming. He was singing very poorly. Stugotz does not sing very much around here. What was he doing? What can we tell the audience is being done with that song? And is it for today? Is it something that is being showcased today? Stugotz is singing, or is that waiting for later on this week?
Don't you worry about a thing, Dan.
All right. So I will not worry about a thing. That's a really inside joke that nobody's going to get. But you were well. Let me discuss this part of let me discuss this part of it out of school.
An awful
Because no, Mike Ryan has become a corporate person that is breathing on our neck over. Look, this place is now run by lawyers. It's awful. They are defense against good content.
No, they're run by us who have been stricken by the fear of God by the lawyers.
Okay, but it's become Bob Iger is done. A perfect time for him to leave as CEO. The company is vibrant and healthy. Everything is going well. Disney's on top, headed toward the future to fight everyone on streaming. And Bob Iger has stepped down as CEO.
Arguably the greatest CEO of all time.
And he's a guy who always makes these big bets. And now he's making the big bet of, I will stay involved with creative, but I'm going to hand this over at a incredibly vibrant time for Disney.
Sort of bummed they named a replacement. I mean, I was hoping to throw my hat in the ring.
You were angling for it?
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, he's been taking part in the management program.
He's like Roman in
Yeah,
Succession.
the junior management program.
All compliance completed. I mean,
My
What are your
God.
bona fides? I completed my compliance.
He
3
would
months
give
after it
himself
was due.
every job.
Yeah.
He would, if he were CEO of Disney, all of a sudden he'd be Mickey Mouse. His face would be on Mickey Mouse's face. He would cheapen and commercialize everything, and everyone would be fired for scandals.
Calls up Pixar. What about a movie on the time Mark Sanchez took the Jets to the AFC Championship?
I'd love to have a dream where Stugotz has a month of just to see what it would look like after a month of company.
Well, didn't you
Stugotz being
see?
in
Didn't you
charge.
see when I was on my honeymoon what this looked like after a month? You guys looked like strung out on meth when I came back.
it looked like the highest downloaded month we've ever had. I mean, that's what it looked like from my perspective. Thank you, audience. Appreciate it.
Until the next month.
Yeah, it was a Dan came back. That's right.
So Iger steps down as CEO and does it like I know many of you must have been thinking, effective immediately. Disney doesn't do effective immediately. Where's the scandal? But it was just him stepping down at a pretty perfect time. And most guys, have too much ego and fame and money to let go of those positions. So he is doing something else. But as ESPN changes, as ESPN becomes a sports right company, as ESPN, goes cheaper on content things and just shrinks because of how many of you are cord cutting and whatever the streaming issues are for all of media. What happens is the Disney lawyers overrun this place, all of it. And we've been able for a long time to keep them away from everything it is that we're doing. But it's becoming harder and harder, Mike. I have found it more and more difficult to keep them away from what we're doing, and I don't like how you've developed too many of their sensibilities.
I'm trying to protect us. Look, we step into things that is never the intention, and consistency has never been really there when it comes to some of these parodies. But the worst possible thing is call attention to it the way that you are.
So what I'm doing right now, because you guys made such an incredibly inside joke, don't you worry about it, Dan.
No, that wasn't a joke. That was foreshadowing, Dan. We're
But
painting a picture
nobody's
today.
going to get what that means
If they
until-
listened yesterday.
But when is the song going to be played?
Whoa, song!
Whoa, you gave it away. Hey.
I thought you didn't know what was going on.
I just heard him singing.
He does that every day.
Exactly.
So what I was going to say is the argument I'm
Yesterday
having.
he came in singing Hakuna Matata.
Feels good. Little singing in the morning. It does, man.
The argument I was having with Mike Ryan yesterday is why can't we celebrate a Jets receiver with "Hey Jude"?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Paul McCartney, John Lennon, George Harrison, Ringo Starr. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know the litigious ones, all right? There's a reason why the theme song to this show is in Prince's Purple Rain.
Mm-hmm.
There's like norms in society, Dan. Like we like the song, we're not just entitled to it. Like if a fan likes your house, they can't just go live in it, you know?
I mean, in Dan's defense, it is the song I wanted to be singing this morning. It's my every Wednesday song.
Well, let's hear this. Let's just hear Jerry Jeudy. He is a Jets receiver.
He's a potential Jets
Jets
receiver.
receiver.
Yes.
Stugotz wants him, and he wants to recruit him by singing "Hey Jude."
He played at Alabama, and they are calling him the best route runner they have ever seen. And by they, it's McShay, Mel Kiper Jr., and Mina Kimes. And I desperately want this guy on my team.
If your expectations are a song by the Beatles, you are ratcheting up to a place that I cannot deliver because I won't go there.
Well, instead of that, then let me hear Jerry Jeudy in his own words talk about why he wears a Star of David necklace.
My last name Jeudy. People sometimes call me short for Jew, like one Jew. So I just got a Jewish star. So yeah, I'm not Jewish though.
Look at you foreshadowing.
Look,
dance now. I make money moves.
Genius.
That
man.
soundbite is amazing. Can I just hear that again? Because his voice is clearly not Jewish.
My last name Jeudy. People sometimes call me short for Jew, like one Jew. So I just got a Jewish star. So yeah, I'm not Jewish though.
Hey, Jude.
I gotta cut that, honestly.
No!
Be careful.
Stop.
Yeah.
Advance Auto Parts, if you have questions about issues going on related to your car, get the lawyers out of here. Get away from our stuff.
You are not helping. You're thinking you're helping, and you're not.
Advance Auto Parts, Stugotz, tell them.
Yep, I love stats. I get goosebumps just thinking about QBRs and true shooting percentages. But one stat you need to know is your car battery's charge. You need to know it. Advance Auto Parts will test your battery for free, and if it's low, they'll install a new one for you with purchase. And you can save 20% when you buy online by entering the code DAN20. Then you get back to pouring over every stat from your favorite sport. Think ahead, think advance, only at Advance Auto Parts.
If sex were a show, that would be us.
I walked into work this way this morning. A stranger asked me for a picture.
Right?
Just thinking that I'm part of the South Beach Entertainment, and it's not weird at all.
Did they give you a tip?
A guy went by me on a bicycle with a ferret on it. Like, it's not weird in any way.
Did you get $1?
I didn't go and take the picture.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. The Dan Le Batard Show is brought to you by Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. All guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. The NFL Players Association's representatives have agreed to the proposed collective bargaining agreement and will send the item to the NFLPA's full membership for vote. The Lakers defeated the Pelicans 118-109. Zion Williamson, 29 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. LeBron James, 40 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. And finally, Harvey Weinstein has hired a prison consultant to prepare him for jail. SportsCenter brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. Think ahead, think advance. At any time, 1 in 4 batteries is about to fail. Get a free battery test and free installation with any automotive battery purchase only at Advance Auto Parts. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Rosie Perez is going to join us in a couple of hours. She was embroiled here in some of the public stuff going around the Harvey Weinstein trial, and an actress telling her about an encounter with Harvey Weinstein. So we will talk to her about that. But we're having her on to talk about Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury because she's our boxing expert. We've been talking a lot, Stugotz, over the last, 10 years, I would say. And that song we were mentioning is going to be played at some point during the show today. It is getting ready. They are hard at work in the lab right now trying to get that Stugotz singing song ready. But for the better part of 10 years, there's been a pretty seismic change. We've been talking about how quickly basketball evolved from what it was to all of a sudden, it's everyone taking threes. Everyone realized at the same time, hey, look, there's a shot out here that's worth more than the other shots. Maybe if we get good at that, we could tilt the sports math. And then, boom, right in front of our eyes, the entire sport ends up changing within 5 years. But for 10 years, we've been talking about something that I think more subtly has shifted in a way the audience and you guys are going to find interesting. And it's not an evolution that you might have even noticed, even though you've lived all of it. And here's the evolution. About 10 years ago, LeBron James caused an unbelievable fuss by starting a television show and really birthing a decade where we're fascinated by the basketball transaction, the basketball soap opera. That TV show was met with a great deal of resistance when he did it. How can you turn this into entertainment? It made him go from hugely popular athlete to unpopular athlete to most popular athlete in America. And it happened like that. He went from famous to infamous to more famous. And in doing so, he birthed this Kevin Durant thing that was met with less resistance, much resistance, but less resistance.
Yep.
And then the Kawhi Leonard thing that was met with very little resistance. And now where we are in 2020 is Bradley Beal, you loyal idiot. Bradley Beal, you are dumb. You are great at what you do, and look at what you signed with for money. And tell me that's not what's happening right now as it regards strictly that player who's not in the All-Star game because his team stinks. And he's hurt by not being in the All-Star game because his team stinks. And now there are memes all over the place of Bradley Beal sat on the bench because he took the money.
He's playing the game. Look, he was trying to do the disgruntled superstar stuff, but the market for free agents got unsettled with what happened with China. No one knows exactly how much money there would be if you switch teams. So then anybody that was going to have a contract that was expiring started getting advised, take the money now and extend, even if it means having to stay with this team, because Bradley Beal simply can't get traded until next season, and we seem to be on our way to that. He's going to be the next disgruntled superstar.
It's hard to call someone stupid. He did sign a 5-year, $127 million contract.
I
understand.
I'm not calling, and Stugotz, I don't call anybody
except for me
loyal idiots.
Right.
Well, I wouldn't call you a loyal idiot,
but just an idiot. Yeah.
I don't call anyone idiot.
No, he's getting that on social media because
but he is getting crushed.
Yeah,
Bradley,
he's putting up 50-point games and losing and looking frustrated, and everyone's like, you played yourself. But I think Bradley Beal knew exactly what he was getting into. He had to have, but he got advice from the people that he hired to give him advice.
So the reason I bring this up is because everything has been lubricated so that Giannis, if he doesn't win the title this year, can leave. And my guess is that most people would get involved with the free agent fun frenzy of please come to my team. And again, basketball has become an off-season sport. The soap opera stuff, we gobble all of it up. What I want to ask you guys, as the Bucks go into Toronto and dismantle Toronto the way they've been dismantling everybody this season. Giannis is playing 30 minutes a game, and they're beating everybody by double digits. They're on a historic pace to have the best offense in the league, the best defense in the league, and they have now made the expectations, put them in a place, and this is surprising to me. Anything but winning the title is a failure. Them getting to the championship round and losing to LeBron or Kawhi, Giannis is going to get a whole offseason of some of the stuff that Harden gets if he loses to LeBron or Kawhi in the finals. And LeBron or Kawhi are uniquely suited as fellow extraterrestrials to bother that guy offensively.
If they get to the finals, which will be the first time that team with Giannis as its superstar gets to the NBA Finals, it's one step further. If they lose a close series to LeBron or Kawhi, you think that maybe possibly he'll leave?
No,
I think players will come to Giannis if he says, hey, I'm going to stay here in Milwaukee. Come to me. This is where the winning is.
I don't know, Stugotz. Cleveland had to trade those players to get players to come to Cleveland. There wasn't a whole lot of players who were choosing to come to Cleveland. Cleveland had to make trades that were
fair point.
And Milwaukee hasn't been able to land anyone for Giannis other than, the Brook Lopez's of the world. Now,
they turned Chris Middleton into an all-star, so he's looking like, I think a team with Chris Middleton can be good enough to win a title if Chris Middleton's the second best player, if Greek Freak is the best player.
But what do I need to do, given that Milwaukee has not only a legitimate superstar, given that Milwaukee has what has till now been a homegrown, loyal superstar, what do I have to make these Bucks do for you, America, to care about what they're doing? Because they have been far and away the most overwhelming thing in the sport this year. No one can play with them. No one.
Move them to New York. I mean, start there.
That's
They're
right.
50-8. I mean, put that team in New York. He'd be the best team in the history
He's so right
of the
about
NBA.
that. And just sign Jeremy Lin.
Look, I don't dance now. I make money moves.
I mean, they're 50-8. No one cares.
Zach Lowe made the best observation. Giannis has his own maintenance plan. It's just play less minutes because he's blowing all these teams out.
He's playing 30 minutes a game.
He doesn't have to miss a game because his minutes aren't that high, because it's just a blowout every time.
And in the games that matter, he plays more minutes. Last night it was 38 minutes because it was at Toronto and a big game for them. So he played 38. 19 and 19. 8 assists.
ZipRecruiter, people. Business owners, do not let another season of hiring people pass you by. Let ZipRecruiter help you with this by finding the right candidates. Tell them, God.
What if a quarterback completed 4 out of 5 of his passes? Or a point guard hit 4 out of 5 shots from behind the arc? Well, now, when you are hiring, you can play at that level because 4 to 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter's matching technology identifies people with the right skills and experience and invites them to apply to your job. To try ZipRecruiter for free, my listeners can go to ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. That's ZipRecruiter.com/DAN. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Our show has set and broken every ratings record.
If you missed any of our interviews, powered through it. Check them out on demand. All that singing this morning in the Dan Le Batard Show podcast brought to you by Capital One. Why settle for average? With Capital One, you can open a savings account with a rate 5 times the national average. Welcome to Banking Reimagined. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Capital One N.A., member FDIC. All guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
It's not powering through it if you cough directly into the mic and clear your throat. What it is a fine.
Oh, really? How much?
That's a $5 fine.
Okay.
It's a big one, and you owe
what?
You owe from the other day too.
$6. So that brings your grand total to $11.
$11.
$11.
He has cash. Yes, he has cash.
I'm gonna show those credit card numbers off. I do have cash. I have $6.
Okay.
That pays today's
You
or
have-
yesterday's
you have 20s
fund.
there. You
Yeah,
have
but I
20s
don't want to
there.
part with those just yet. I mean,
Oh, get change, man.
might be a way out of this.
Well, let's play for the people here. I am so tired of Stugotz playing his lazy hits. Yesterday, at the start of the show, right, he opens the show with just a breathtaking amount of incompetence. He is trying to say, I think, Trey Wingo's deck. I think that's what he's trying to say, but he instead wants to make the joke about calling Trey Wingo Hal. He butchers the joke, and what happens right after that is simply him dropping to a knee like Rambo and emptying the chamber of all of his junk. Just hit after hit. It was a barrage. It was the end of a fireworks show. It was amazing. This is how he came out of the box yesterday's show. Totally incompetent, and then just played all his hits like he was hitting a xylophone.
Also, that bear was not on Hal's deck. Excuse me. I was going to say desk. I meant deck. I botched it. Terrible. $2. Penalty box, 2 minutes. See ya. Home for the day. Walk to the ocean. What do you want me to do? Super Bowl week, Dan. I didn't ask for any of this. And I have no money. Aqua?
That's Walk to 11. the ocean. That is 11. It is 11 sentences of excuse making, playing the hits, firing off cliches. It is watching Rambo fall to a knee with a sleeve of bullets on his arm, and he is emptying everything.
Went to the ocean. Nice dip. I mean,
let me hear that again, just so it is something to marvel at. This is the first thing Stugotz did on his show yesterday as a professional broadcaster at the height of ESPN.
Also, that bear was not on Hal's deck. Excuse me. I was going to say desk. I meant deck. I botched it. Terrible. $2. Penalty box, 2 minutes. See ya. Home for the day. Walk to the ocean. What do you want me to do? Super Bowl week, Dan. I didn't ask for any of this. And I have no money. Aqua?
Walk to the ocean.
Like a pinball machine.
Well, not only is it like a pinball machine, listen to this part. Before he says see ya, I want you to hear also, just because his art is so impressive and breathtaking. Before he says see ya, I want you to hear how unhealthy he sounds, where there is just a little bit of phlegm. There's a little gurgle of phlegm, like fourth or fifth sound you will hear in here.
Also, that bear was not on Hal's deck. Excuse me. I was going to say desk. I meant deck. I botched it. Terrible. $2. Penalty box, 2 minutes. See ya.
Right there.
Home for the day. Walk to the ocean. I think that was Cody.
That was Greg Cody.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank God.
The person that sounds unhealthy is Greg Cody.
That was Greg Cody coughing. I thought that was still Stugotz.
2 unhealthy people in there.
That is unbelievable. It really is. Lest you complain, as some of you are doing now, that I mention that we're at the height of ESPN, as some of you have been claiming over the last couple of days that our ratings aren't what they should be. I will just say this to you in terms of what this show is, if you're not aware. Beyond being on 270-something radio stations, it's ESPN's biggest digital property as a podcast. So when you combine those two things, because Bill Simmons and Pardon My Take, you can only get them on podcast. You can't get them on 270-some-odd radio stations. We're the biggest thing in America when it comes to sports radio. Like, that's not up for dispute. There's no one who could dispute that.
I would say that if we're not successful, I'd ask what success looks like. Because look at Stugotz's face.
Exactly.
That right there
Yep.
is what success
You
looks like.
You want to know what success sounds like? This is what success sounds like when it is no longer hungry, it's lazy, and terrible at its job. No, that's the wrong one. That's not even the one. That is also accurate. It's also accurate for Greg Cody, unfortunately, but it's not how Greg Cody started the show. This is how Stugotz began his workday yesterday.
Also, that bear was not on Hal's deck. Excuse me. I was going to say desk. I meant deck. I botched it. Terrible. $2. Penalty box, 2 minutes. See ya. Home for the day. Walk to the ocean. What do you want me to do? Super Bowl week, Dan. I didn't ask for any of this. And I have no money. Aqua?
Walk to the ocean. A tweeter writes in, you could reach the show at Batard Show.
Who's saying these things about ratings, just out of curiosity?
I don't know. That's coming in. Some people are coming in with this. Thanks for all your help there, Stugotz. In fact, walk to the ocean again.
What? I mean, are you serious? I was about to blast all of them.
Just get out of here.
Aqua?
Just get out of here.
$5?
Go get ready for Nostradumbass. Just go get ready for Nostradumbass. Just get out of here.
Super Bowl week, Dan.
A tweeter writes in, the idea that you would name it White History Month is enough reason to stop listening and go strictly to the Cowboys morning show with @RealSkipBayless.
You don't get the show.
You're not going there. You don't even know where to find it. I mean, let's be real.
Get out of here, Nostradumbass. Get out of here.
I needed some water.
Get out of here. Leave.
See ya.
Is he locking in a bed? What was that?
He's never doing his job. He's never doing his job. Anytime he's looking at the computer, what he's doing is trying to parlay some sort of scam into replacing Bob Iger as CEO of Disney. He's working behind the scenes now to see what he can do to get that job. Nostradumbass joins us next.
The #1 show in the history of shows.
Over there. Oh my God, that's it. Look at that. It's incredible.
Stugotz called 911 when there was a frog in his house.
It was a bullfrog.
Can you imagine that frog screaming at Stugotz?
They are making things even easier. They'll help me bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more today at Progressive.com or call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. All guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Wake Forest defeated number 7 Duke 113-101 in double overtime. The Deeks, the 113 points Duke gave up is tied for the most allowed by a Mike Krzyzewski coach team and second most in Blue Devils history. Yankees pitcher Luis Severino will need to undergo Tommy John surgery. And finally, 1 in every 18 people have a third nipple. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Guillermo, put it on the poll, high or low. 1 out of every 18 people have a third nipple. I'm surprised that it is that high. I did not think that 1 out of every 18 people had a third nipple. We will get to Nostradumbass in a second, but before we do that, a tweeter writes in accurately that sound of Stugotz, rat-a-tat-tatting, sounds like someone with a talking doll who keeps pressing the button on the back just to hear all the recorded talking phrases.
Also, that bear was not on Hal's deck. Excuse me. I was going to say desk. I meant deck. I botched it. Terrible. $2. Penalty box, 2 minutes. See ya. Home for the day. Walk to the ocean. What do you want me to do? Super Bowl week, Dan. I didn't ask for any of this. And I have no money. Aqua?
Walk to the ocean. He's the worst, man. So we have a very well-produced, you know how this show does it, with maximum laziness on producing things like the imaging for Nostradumbass. Here it is.
Since the beginning of time, one eternal being has witnessed and spouted his opinions on humanity's sports accomplishments into the void of space. We peer through a wormhole in the space-time continuum to get the hottest takes on events that haven't even happened yet. Take a glimpse into all epochs of the sports timeline as we speak to the Nostradumbass. The hell does epochs mean?
Dan, in the future, everyone has 3 nipples. In fact, some people have a 4th and 5th nipple. We aren't that far out in the future just yet. We're only a couple of weeks ahead of you right now, okay? And in a couple of weeks, I'm going to tell you a few things that might happen on the quarterback NFL landscape. Phillip Rivers is now the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. He still has 2 nipples, but he is the quarterback for the Colts, and he is still commuting all the way from San Diego on a daily basis to Indianapolis. He just won't quit that city.
All right.
He won't do it.
Hold on, Stugotz.
It's actually a quicker ride. It's unbelievable. Phillip Rivers, now the quarterback for the Chargers. Tua has been selected for by the Dolphins, and the Dolphins have given up every first-round pick they've had to get Tua until the year 2057. The Dolphins will never select again in the first round until 2057, when they take Arch Manning, by the way. Arch Manning, the latest of the Manning brothers to play quarterback.
Well, wait a minute. That would make Archie Manning in 2057 be having babies at like 100 years old.
Yeah, this is Arch Manning's baby. It's Arch Manning Jr. That's who it is. Arch Manning's already played way off into the future, Dan. This is Arch Manning's son, who he also,
I'm sorry for the
he called him Arch, but he called him Arch Jr. That's what he called him.
All right, hold on a second. Can you just slow down for just a second?
Got a lot of news.
Okay, we'll get to it in a second. I'm very eager to find out everything about the future, according to Nostradumbass, but I want to point out to the radio audience how poorly done this is on television. You have some sort of aluminum around your neck of some sort that isn't very well hidden, and I could see too much of your body.
The aluminum's not supposed to be hidden, man. He's a floating head.
But what about the shoulders on his sweatshirt?
That's supposed to be hidden.
All right, continue, Stugotz.
The shoulders on the sweatshirt are definitely an issue, Dan. We are still a couple of weeks removed here from the present day. Tom Brady has become a member of the Tennessee Titans. That is right. Tom Brady is now the quarterback for the Titans. And Mike Vrabel has proclaimed that if he does not win a Super Bowl with Tom Brady, he will cut off his penis.
I thought you were going to say his third nipple.
No, his penis, Dan.
Okay, very good.
Yes. Now, here's what happens. Tom Brady is signing with the Titans. Ryan Tannehill is going to the Patriots, but not to play quarterback, Dan. No. He is going to be a wide receiver. Why? Because Belichick wants to embarrass Brady so badly, and Vrabel, that he has signed P.J. Walker from the XFL to be his quarterback, and Belichick, Walker, with Ryan Tannehill at wide receiver, they go on to win the Super Bowl, and Mike Vrabel, at the end of the year, cuts off his penis.
Okay, very good. What amazing.
Which has a nipple on it. Because in the future, penises have nipples.
Okay, very good.
It's amazing.
Okay.
So now we go off way into the future, Dan. 50 years from now, Jim Rome is still doing his show. Christopher Mad Dog Russo is still doing his show. In fact, they have combined. It is Rome and Russo. How about that afternoon drive all throughout the galaxy, Dan? Rome and Russo. I was listening to their show the other day, and I found out we are now playing 117 regular season games in the NFL. That's right, we're playing like 2 a day. Hey, double headers. It's unbelievable. People are still waiting for their Teslas. They're still waiting for their shoes from Lonzo Ball and Big Baller Brand. Pete Rose still hasn't made it into the Hall of Fame. But here's a strange twist. Altuve is in. Bregman is in, and Alex Rodriguez, of all people, is now running the Baseball Hall of Fame. He's also president of the entire galaxy.
Wow, really? Wow. Okay, those HGH dosages help.
He ran on a platform, Dan, A-Rod did, where he swore to everyone, that nipple on your penis, I am going to fix it. And he did.
Wow. Wow, he did fix it. That's amazing. That's an amazing bit of news.
Yes, he did. He fixed it. He is president of the Hall of Fame, president of the galaxy. He is president of all things. He also ran on a couple of other platforms. He will make sure that by the time his 8 years are up, because now you get 8 years when you become the president, Dan. You get an automatic 8 years. He has promised everyone on this platform a couple of things. He will get it from 117 regular regular season games. He will get that up to 217 by the time his 4 years are done.
His 8 years.
Excuse me, by the time his 8 years are done. I mean, this is unbelievable. I'm a little confused because I'm 2 weeks ahead, then I'm 50 years ahead, and then I'm back here, then I'm back there.
And then the penis
I'm really
nipples,
all over the place.
The whole thing, yeah.
Yes,
You got aluminum on your neck.
And yes, and my shoulders are showing. So he ran on the platform that he will get it to 217 regular season games. And also, he promised everyone that by the time his 8 years are up, Jim Rome and Christopher Mad Dog Russo will no longer be on the radio.
Oh, shocking.
No longer be on the radio. Jerry Jones is still alive, and Jerry Jones still can't move his face, and he still hasn't won a Super Bowl. Neither have the New York Jets. The Dolphins finally got out from underneath that horrible trade for Tua, where they spent all their first-round picks until 2057.
It's a strange amount of sports news here. Like any other
Well,
thing.
Dan, this is what it is. This is the future of sports. Oh, you want some news on some other fronts, some serious fronts? I don't have any of those.
Okay. Thank you, Nostradumbass, for all your strong work. That was excellent work. Is there anything?
Farewell from the future, Dan Le Batard, where Arch Manning is the greatest quarterback that has ever lived.
And he has a nipple on his penis.
All right, get out of here. Please tell me that he is on the screen wearing that ridiculous green outfit. God, that's funny. The green. Oh, God, that is great
Go
television.
lower, please. Keep it above the waist.
He is wearing a very tight green. Oh, God.
Aquí lo que importa es el catch.
Oh, holy bleep. That's great television. I don't know if it's any good radio, but it is great television. Are you in need of a new tire pressure gauge? You can find those little sticks near the cash register at Advance Auto Parts. Stugotz, do you mind coming back from the future for a bit in order to tell us about Advance Auto Parts?
Yes, the football season is over, although in the future it is never over. Remember, we are playing 217 regular season games. But football season is over. Now your Thursdays, Sundays, and Mondays are dreadfully open until August. Luckily, Advance Auto Parts has something productive you can do to fill the time. Getting your vehicle's battery tested. It's free, and if your battery is low, they'll install your new one for you with purchase. Plus, enter the code DAN20 when you buy online to save 20%. Think ahead, think Advance. Only at Advance Auto Parts.
Dan and Stu are...
I think a lot of people just assume Kawhi Leonard's leaving after this year, and I'm here to tell you he is not leaving. He loves Toronto so much that he is going to stay there. It's an easier path to the NBA Finals. Kawhi Leonard stays with Kyle Lowry in Toronto for the next 10 years, and they win multiple championships together. That's what I like to call the cherry on top.
If you missed any of our interviews, check them out on demand in the Dan Le Batard podcast, brought to you by Capital One. With Capital One, you can open a new checking or savings account with no fees or minimums. Welcome to Banking Reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Approval required. Capital One N.A., member FDIC. Dan, it's time for Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless.
Pete Weber gave you the straight talk about 8 years ago. 8 years ago, not about, 8 years ago today, professional bowler Pete Weber, famous at least in part for his, what was it? What would you call it? He had a name for his crotch celebration where he would double thrust down toward his crotch. But this is 8 years ago today, and it's Pete Weber talking trash.
Strike.
Who do you think you are? I am.
That's right. I never thawed. That's incredible. Is that Gary Thorne? Yeah.
What is the name? What would he call his crotch celebration as he tried to bring artistry and trash talk and personality to bowling?
The crotch chop.
Okay, very good. A happy 49th birthday to Erykah Badu.
Happy birthday to her. I don't care. Good luck.
She has not been only great and interesting on her own. She has been a muse. She has been a muse to many men who are swayed by her spiritual ways and get their lives altered.
Yes, and she's well aware of this reputation that she has, and she's been blunt about it, about the power that her privates have. She knows. It's been rumored, urban legend, that it changes a man, and she knows all about it. So she decided to be entering into a capitalistic venture because of this power. And she put out...
The power of her private.
Yeah. She put out private scented incense, and they sold out immediately. sold out immediately. Now, there's a bit of a beef now between Gwyneth Paltrow and Erykah Badu, because everyone's accusing Erykah Badu of stealing this idea because...
Well, hers is viewed as more powerful.
Yes, but Goop has a...
Her scent, I meant.
Yes. Goop has a private scented candle out there, and it seems as though this is a new twist on an old classic, but people...
An old classic?
People can't get enough of the smell of Erykah Badu's privates. So much so that they've bought up all these incense, and she might now be an incense mogul.
She's got magical powers when it comes. What is the list? Andre 3000 was,
common. Anytime a rapper is seen with her, Bomani's very public to go out there on Twitter and warn the young man. It's a thing, and she knows it.
I know she does. She does seem to know it.
I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've cleaned up her language quite a bit.
Yes.
Stugotz, your thoughts?
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Stugotz was busy before the show doing a great deal of singing. I don't know why exactly he was singing or what it is that we're doing with it, but I've been told that there is a hint here that there is a wide receiver who may indeed go to the New York Jets. Stugotz wants Jerry Jeudy to go to the New York Jets. The reason he wants Jerry Jeudy to go to the New York Jets is because he says things like this about having the Star of David necklace.
My last name Jeudy. People sometimes call me short for Jew, like one Jew. So I just got a Jewish star. So yeah, I'm not Jewish though.
I want the Jets to get him, man. I really do.
All right, well, let's serenade the Jets. Adam Gase is your friend. He's become your friend now.
This is what I need, Dan. I mean, Sam needs a wide receiver.
Okay, and so I asked why it is that we couldn't do this as the Beatles classic, Hey Jude, and was told that the Beatles are very litigious, so instead you're going to have to settle for this.
New York Jets have me reeling. I'm schwitzing on my rear. And no one to relate to, sad to read. Who can I believe in? So I'm lighting the manure to avoid 0-4. Where do I turn? The Star of David shining, but all I really want to know, oh, won't you show me the way? I want you to showcase the way. But
that's it? That's what you guys were working on all morning? That is what I heard through the soundproof doors. That is what we get instead of the Beatles' Hey Jew. Duh. Jerry Jeudy.
I'm such a bad singer, man.
Oh, my God. It hurts.
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. I appreciate it. That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only at Walmart.
Simply put, no one is better at talking into microphones.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Wake Forest defeated number 7 Duke 113-101 in double overtime. The 113 points Duke gave up is tied for most allowed by a Coach K coach team and second most in Blue Devils history. Yankees pitcher Luis Severino will undergo Tommy John surgery. And finally, only 18% of Americans can drive a stick shift.
Straw poll. Who can in this studio? I can't.
I can.
I cannot either.
I can.
I can.
I cannot.
Anthony shook his head no.
Okay. Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Can you drive stick shift?
SportsCenter brought to you by Bolt 24. It's advanced hydration for athletes off the field with antioxidant vitamins A and C, electrolytes from watermelon and sea salt, and no artificial flavors or sweeteners. Bolt 24, all-day hydration for all-day athletes. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Duke can always win. Can always win a tournament. Always has the talent to win a tournament, but also in a one-game sample size, they have the ability to lose quickly, flame out in the tournament. And Duke fans got real mad at me the other day for saying that Dayton's been better all year. Dayton's got what's considered in that Toppin kid a top five pick in the draft.
The Flyers out of the A-10.
I don't know why. I guess Duke doesn't like being in the same company of Dayton, but Dayton's had a very good season, and you've seen in college basketball the way that some of these smaller, lesser-named schools can get good fast.
Dayton's for real. San Diego State is for real. Seton Hall, I don't know if you've noticed this, is back.
Gonzaga is, again.
Yeah, but they've become like the elites. Are we going to keep saying schools? How about this? I like
Duke.
Oregon. A little future, a little sprinkle on Oregon.
Why did you say Duke?
I'm just getting in there, man. Duke's a good team.
Okay,
But Duke's always good.
Okay.
I mean, we're all doing it. We're just saying teams.
The Dukies.
I want to ask you guys this question because people are very excited about the Candyman movie that Jordan Peele is getting involved in. And Jordan Peele, what an amazing creative evolution to witness. I remember thinking of this with Robin Williams, Stugotz, where you go from being such an exceptional comedian to being somebody who is such an exceptional actor, and sort of the creative range of someone like that. What I don't know whether the audience thought Key and Peele was funny, but I thought they were uproariously funny as a comedy duo, that they would consistently do things that were funnier than what anybody was doing on television. To go from that to becoming someone whose movies are hugely anticipated in the horror genre, because you just know, once he puts his name on it, it's going to be something that is robust creatively. And he's still young, right, Mike? Like, he is now being able to get big budgets on movies, resources, backing of creativity that gives him such an enormous power, Stugotz. And I always love when creative people go into where it is their interests lie from childhood, because you guys may have noticed for a long time there, we were having Ta-Nehisi Coates on with us. He would come on all the time, and the things that he was writing on subjects of race were smarter than anything being written by anyone. He was very much a modern-day intellectual at a time where we all get a lot dumber, it seems like, and we're not even allowing for famous modern-day intellectuals. And because he was so uncomfortable with the fame that came with writing and the addictive properties of checking social media accounts and that getting in the way of your work, he basically vanished from the public eye to just concentrate on the creative, which is writing these books and doing writing and comic books. Like creating comic books, because it just spoke to his inner nerd. How much fun do you think Jordan Peele is having to go from a playground where he was, that was not a comedy duo that needed breaking up. That was a comedy duo that still had in its late 30s and early 40s a lot of creative stuff that they could have done together.
Right.
And he instead chose, it's a very difficult genre. Like in 2020 to make the horror genre something where you're making impeccably directed and produced movies that are making societal statements as you're sitting here doing horror?
He's 41. It's also a big gamble because you have something so good going for yourself with a partner that you're comfortable with great chemistry, and then you just kind of veer off and do something totally unexpected because I'm guessing you have total confidence in your ability to be able to pull it off.
I don't think that he broke free, though, of all things Key and Peele until the success of his first movie. Did he? Because,
people didn't really know that he wasn't a part of Key and Peele by the time Get Out came. And then it's just become his career. And it's also a genre that he's choosing to stay in. I know he has that Amazon Prime show with Al Pacino, but he can get any project he wants made now in Hollywood at 41 years old.
Anything. Like anything that guy wants to do right now, because for as fractured as media is, and it has never been so fractured, your options at the top of the food chain, if you're good, are so plentiful because Netflix will throw $130 million to get Scorsese to hit all the same notes that he's hit. And Netflix is just one of the people in this game, as Amazon tries to get into this game because Bezos has so much money that he could just spill it over the bar on his studio. And it doesn't matter how much he loses because he's somebody who's got the financial wherewithal to contribute $10 billion to climate change research and funding. And many people will point out, by the way, that Amazon does more damage than that to the environment. And so that looks and sounds good, obviously, $10 billion. But his company itself is doing a great deal of the damage that needs correcting because of how it is that they make everything that they make in terms of controlling the marketplace.
$10 billion worth, though?
$10 billion. It is
Are
said,
they doing that much damage, though?
It is
said. He's paying it back. It's a wash. I mean,
it is.
Sacramento Kings.
At Batard Show, put it on the poll, Billy. Bezos, climate change $10 billion. Is it a wash?
Cornhuskers.
XFL, I thought, is where you'd go.
Oh, man. Are you ready to apologize, Dan? You and your media elites? You and your media elites treating the XFL as they're just some, joke amateur hour while they're out rating NBA basketball. You heard of the NBA because you treat it with reverence. Not the reverence you treat the XFL with. No. The XFL is a joke. Meanwhile, it's the biggest sporting event every weekend. You thought by week 3 it would be gone? It would go the way of the AAF, didn't you? At what point are you going to lead highly questionable with what P.J. Walker and Cam Phillips are doing in Houston? At what point do you apologize? Because let me tell you something. Your producers are going to have to start putting this at the top of the A block. The people are speaking in droves, in millions, Dan. This is the biggest sport going on right now, whether you like it or not. And I know it's or not.
And God help you if there's an NFL strike, because the NFL may never come back.
They got their own set of problems. That problem, the XFL. Vincent Kennedy McMahon, reshaping the sport. Honestly, how do you excuse your continual disrespect of the biggest sport in America right now when it's outrating golf, when it's outrating NASCAR, when it's outrating the NBA and college basketball? It's the biggest game in town right now, Dan. When do you say I'm sorry?
Are you going to tell me that anywhere on our family of networks or anywhere where people are opining?
This is rating on FS1. This is rating on FS1. I cannot. It's one of the top 10 cable shows, as FS1 is its parent network. You realize how ridiculous is that? Can you find FS1? Right? What channel is it on your peripheral?
I don't know.
You've got no idea. You've got no idea. This is impressive.
832? Is it 832?
I don't know. You probably have some fancier.
Yeah, you got a different cable network over there.
Yeah. So many channels. Oh, man. Dan probably has you almost have more channels than P.J. Walker and Cam Phillips have touchdowns together.
Aquí lo que importa es el catch.
I mean, they did get north of 2 million viewers, Dan, for the Battlehawks. I mean, you have to watch this Battlehawk team, man. I'm telling you, they could play in the NFL.
I imagine you have an actual woman named Alexa who sits next to you and changes all your channels for you.
Do you?
I got a lot of channels. So I just don't think that anyone is covering the XFL better than this show is.
This is not a bit. I have a genuine passion for the game, and I speak for the masses.
I don't think. I think you speak for the ass.
Oh, very clever, Dan Lebitard.
That's pretty good. I like that one.
Very clever.
Especially when you consider I'm one of the people who loves the XFL.
Yes, but you're the majority.
You speak for the asses.
You're apparently the silent majority, as all these people laugh at us. Meanwhile, we're the #1 sport in town. Can you imagine an NBA fan throwing stones from his glass house right now? Can't even imagine it. Dan opens the show talking about Giannis this, Giannis that. No, what you need to be doing is talking about how Mark Trestman should be fired for what he's doing with the Tampa Bay
Put it on the
Vipers.
poll, Guillermo. Does the show need to be talking about firing XFL coaches? Yes or no? Raycon,
What's
Stugotz.
this worse stuff? Mike is angling for a job with the XFL. I am telling you right now.
No, I'm not.
He's trying to
angling
get
for a
in that
job.
game.
No,
We should be.
I'm not going to be here on Monday, April 27th. You know why? Because I have put my name on a list to be in Houston for the XFL Championship Sunday, April 26th. Because this sport is phenomenal.
Raycon, are you looking for new earbuds? Are you trying to avoid paying too much? Raycon is for you. Tell them, God.
Yep, the E25s, their best ones yet. It's their newest model, their latest model. They sent me a pair. I absolutely love them. Half the price of the ones that I had before. I threw those out. They're gone. Raycons cost me half the price. They sound a million times better. The E25s offer you 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design for a comfortable noise-isolating fit. Raycon earbuds are stylish and discreet with no dangling wires or stems. Get 15% off your order right now at buyraycon.com/Dan. That's buyraycon.com/Dan.
This show is bigger than Elvis.
And then finally, Al Pacino turned down the role of Han Solo in Star Wars. Get out of here, man.
Chewie!
What a different movie that would have been.
Guillermo, put on the poll. Would you have liked to have seen Al Pacino as Han Solo in Star Wars?
It's college basketball season, and that means the Wendy's Wooden Watch is on. Go to ESPN.com and search Wooden Watch for the list of the Wooden Award late season top 20 nominees to watch as this season rolls on. Keep an eye out on Duke center Vernon Carey Jr. The freshman is second in the ACC in rebounds per game with 8.8, fourth in the conference at field goal percentage, shooting 58%. The Wooden Watch is brought to you by Wendy's, proud sponsor of the 2020 John R. Wooden Men's and Women's Player of the Year.
A tweeter writes in, "Hey Lebitard, let Stugotz know it's New York Yankees pitcher Severino, not Serverino, like a server at a tacky Italian restaurant. Serverino is not the name of the pitcher."
Sorry, man. I mean, the guy serves them up. He does. He serves up meatballs.
If you guys know enough to correct him, you know what he meant. And if you feel the need to correct him when you know what he meant, that makes you a bleep hole. Antonio Brown is arguing.
Wait a second.
Antonio Brown is arguing. I'm defending you. I'm protecting you. I'm supporting you.
I don't think this has much to do with you.
Has to do with Dano?
Getting names wrong is a sore subject for me. It's a sensitive area for me.
It's all right, man. We're talking it out.
I hate having weaknesses around you people. I hate them to be out in public.
We've been waiting so long,
I can't trust any of you with my vulnerabilities. You cannot be trusted with them. Antonio Brown has broken up with Drew Rosenhaus. Drew Rosenhaus says that he broke up first. He quit Antonio Brown before Antonio Brown quit him, but now Antonio Brown is on Twitter. Last I saw of him on Twitter, he was getting up from an Instagram workout bench, and he got hit pretty hard on the head by some sort of falling weight contraption. It looked fairly ominous. He lives his entire life on social media, so there were a whole lot of hearts coming up as he just sort of bench pressed, and then he gets up and something falls near him, and this seems to feel like a symbol for his entire life. Something big and heavy and loud fell next to him. He thought he was okay. He jumps off the bench, and he gets hit very hard, like concussion hard, by some weight. What was that? What fell from the sky and hit him in the head?
That had weights on the other end of it, and it crashes on top of his head.
And that's the last thing you see is him just sort of fall down on the floor.
Yeah. I'm
During
worried about him.
During a workout. We have been. And what is he
Who's
doing
not?
on Twitter regarding Drew Rosenhaus? Now he's calling him all sorts of names?
Last night around 8:15, he tweeted out Rosenhaus Sports, one of the biggest scams going on in South Florida right now. That's saying a lot when you consider all the scams going on in South Florida right now.
That is saying a lot. You are not kidding about that is quite the accusation, my friend. Many of them just happening in this studio. Stugotz was kicked out of here earlier and closed all his tabs because he doesn't want anyone to see what it is that he's working on.
Locked it up.
Yes. Oh, Mike, you didn't know that's what he was doing when he snuck back in here and closed all his things. He doesn't want us looking at his computer, what he's doing during work.
I thought you were trying to lock in Diamondbacks over.
Nope, I was just locking it all up, everything.
What's the over-under on this apology for AB? Like, to apologize to Rosenhaus for this one. What do you guys got? Maybe next week? Midweek?
In about an hour.
I actually gained a little bit of respect for Drew Rosenhaus fighting for Antonio Brown as long and hard as he did. And then finally having to pull the plug under the guise of, let's get him some real help, thinking that this would sort of force the issue. I don't know what the spin on it is, but I think people are right to question the sincerity of what Antonio Brown is doing, and this is just more of the same for me. Drew Rosenhaus seemed like he treated him very well.
Drew Rosenhaus will get in bed with the dirtiest of our sports figures if it means some cash, some attention, some notoriety, some building of the Rosenhaus empire.
And maybe what Antonio is speaking to is some of the stuff that Terrell Owens accused Drew Rosenhaus with, maybe surrounding him with people that weren't the best for their long-term money. But this is a guy, Antonio Brown, when you dig
He doesn't
into the
pay any of his
financials,
debts. He doesn't pay any of his debts.
For him to call someone else on being a bit of a scam is kind of funny.
Can I have you guys, and I know many of you are Antonio Browned out. Rosie Perez will join us at 12:30 to be our boxing expert. But can you guys recall, because you see young people and people in general all over the place getting addicted to social media. It's creating a loneliness epidemic. It is an unspoken addiction. Can you guys recall someone flaming out, someone of his excellence, someone of Antonio Brown's excellence, or anybody flaming out because they can't stop doing embarrassing things on social media? Like his inability to stop embarrassing himself publicly after all this started because his coach said, don't do any of this, and he was doing it from the locker room. Like, have we ever seen anything close to what we're witnessing, which is Antonio Brown squandering a Hall of Fame career because he's addicted?
Magic Johnson's tweets.
This is the biggest show in the world.
What kind of person are you? Close your eyes and feel something, or open your eyes and dance. Chris, you are the oaf poet. Oaf poetry.
That sounds like a band that Mike would listen to.
It is. Seen them 3 times. I like their older stuff.
Good day.
So, what are you laughing about, Mike? Is it that pouncy sound that Stugotz sent you? People need to know how this show works in the background because
I'm annoying.
I just asked Stugotz right before the microphones came on because it's just I want you to imagine whatever the storm is that's battering the most dilapidated of houses, just a nonstop sea of stuff just lapping up upon a really weathered, broken, tired, memory-failing house. And Stugotz during the break was it's just rat-a-tat-tat ADD, like singe my eyebrows with 50 different thoughts about 50 different things, and also handle this for me, COB. And he just was playing a bunch of pouncy sound while there were 10 other sounds playing in the studio. And I now look up, and Mike Ryan is just staring at his computer because now it's not just that he wears me out and makes me be worse than I actually am because he just wears me out with nonstop opinions. But now he's taking Mike out of the show, too, and he does all of this 10 seconds before we come back to be on the radio with you.
Twitter is a big fishbowl to me, and it is always on during the show. And what I'm doing is I'm fishing for content. I mean, that's what I'm doing. And I thought perhaps maybe that I found something with Marquise Pouncey because the Pounceys are usually good content. But I also know at this stage of the game and 2 hours into the show that Dan needs some silence.
Oh, you apologize profusely to your credit because but he kept just yammering at me, and I'm like, and he's like, what's the matter? I'm like, Stugotz, I just need 3 seconds of quiet.
I know.
And I didn't get it because I heard Pouncey in a Jeep railing against somebody. What was this? Was this Mike Pouncey? Was it Marquise?
I'm not even sure. I'm a fighter pilot, Dan. I make millions of decisions during a given show. Stugotz has this idea. You think that we can play it immediately. There's a whole system in place that makes that impossible.
Lawyers.
But I'm thinking towards the next step, which is if we play something from Pouncey, Dan's going to reference a song that we did like 10 years ago that nobody remembers.
Oh, that's a good song. We got to play that. It's one of our finest songs.
So what I was listening to, honestly, was that song, that parody song, to see if these references.
Okay?
Yeah, because it was a different time.
No, all right, hold on a second. I want to get to that sound immediately because I believe this is one of the top 10 songs in show history.
But there's so many random references.
That's fine. I like the random references.
Out the box, like one of the people referenced is no longer here with us anymore.
Okay, that's fine. I look, I've told you this before, and it's one of the many creative tensions we have around here. If it were up to me, and it's not up to me for somehow because I've been asking for this library for damn near years, like almost a decade now. I'd love to play some songs every damn day around here. Every day I would play old songs because I believe one of these is a top 10 song.
Yeah, but playing a song that mentions former Dolphins fullback Lusaka Polite isn't really gonna.
That's gonna make it even funnier.
Masses.
The random. I don't care about the masses. I care about the asses.
We played some Frampton today. I mean,
I just want to play. Now I'm telling people in advance. You're not going to know many of the references in this. I don't care whether you know.
It was a Monday Night Football game in which Darrelle Revis got a very important interception for the Jets, and Pouncey went flying.
Yeah, well, no, it's not that he went flying. It's that he was chasing the play, and then at the end of it, he decided to do on his own, because it'd be fun out there at the 50-yard line, a somersault while it's like an 80-yard.
While someone else is running with his ball.
That's right, interception return.
So when I see one of the Pounceys in a Jeep with the top down screaming, you realize why I have to start talking and send the sound to Mike Ryan.
Okay, well, we will get to that in a second.
But what's at the end of the rainbow is a parody song.
Mike knew I was going to go to this. He already got it. So let me give some people here the backstory. Now, the Miami Dolphins, without being able to block anybody for 15 years, had a bunch of first-round picks on their offensive line. One of them was Mike Pouncey. Mike Pouncey, I believe, was drafted higher than any center ever. And so the signature play I remember of his career is failing to chase down Revis and just at the 50-yard line deciding, like, look, he's going to score anyway. Let me just do a somersault here.
And all of this for podcast listeners, 10 million strong, that won't actually get to enjoy this payoff.
Well, let's do it this way for the podcast listener. Go ahead and find on YouTube or wherever whatever, Pouncy Block, put it up on Twitter so that they can listen to the show this way, where they have to do some research in order to keep up with the show because of all the lawyers and the copyright rules on music and everything else that didn't allow us to play Hey Jew before, which would have been wonderful. Let's play Pouncy Block. I believe, and put it on the poll, Guillermo, at LeBatard Show. Is Pouncy Block one of the show's top 10 songs of all time?
Sperano. 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 Pouncy. Sperano. Pouncy. Sperano. Pouncy. Sperano. Pouncy. Sperano. Pouncy. You were picked in the middle of the first round. Pouncy. Revis pick, then you flipped and landed on the ground. Pouncy. You play center, snapping balls is what you do. Pouncy. And you knew more is no help for you. 1 minute older than Marquise. Shot block again, please. Wish you block for playing. You've been Pouncy Block.
Oh, that is fire.
Pouncy Block.
It does kind of slap.
Fire! Like,
good, so
it
good.
is so good. I'm telling you, why do I not have a list in front of me of all our songs every day?
I mean,
I've been
we're
asking
compiling
for
it.
damn 10 years.
They were hoping you would forget.
No, we're not hoping that you'd forget. We've done this, and Dan just has.
I
Why
want
do
to
I
do
have
it.
so many papers
I
in front
want
of
to
me?
do it every day. Every day. This is what I'm telling you. Every day, play a song. Every day, find a reason to play a song.
Aren't you glad I went fishing?
No.
Aquí lo que importa es el catch.
No, we didn't do good radio there. We were just totally self-involved, and I offered office complaints that I had.
The bouncy song.
Advance Auto Parts.
Damian Woody, by the way, highest drafted center ever, number 17. Pouncy went number 18 in the first round.
I thought he went
and the
15.
Patriots took Woody. I mean,
You will never know when it's when's the best time to get your windshield wiper fluid until it's too late. That's so true. That's annoying.
yeah.
Advance Auto Parts can keep you up to date on all the things that you don't want to do because they're annoying. Tell them, Stugotz.
I love stats. I get goosebumps just thinking about QBRs and true shooting percentages. But one stat you need to know is your car battery's charge. Advance Auto Parts will test your battery for free, and if it's low, they'll install a new one for you with purchase. And you can save 20% when you buy online by entering the code DAN20. Then you can get back to poring over every stat from your favorite sport. Think ahead, think Advance only at Advance Auto Parts.
Dan and Stu are the best hosts ever.
Guillermo claims that Billy Joel is nothing special and we didn't start the fire is something that he could just do, based on items that are in the shipping container.
Exactly. Zebra pencil, Jolly Rancher, Keith Law, baseball book, goldfish, water bottle, umbrella, headphones, Alka-Seltzer, Jif, peanut butter, $30 lip gloss, ibuprofen, green highlighter, black pen, blue pen, purple pen, deck of cards, Flanagan's koozie, Tums, I think, Jolly Rancher. No, I did that already. Chewy bar.
Oh, no. If you missed any of the show, you can listen to all 3 hours of the Dan LeBatard Show, plus our Miami-only hour and our Best of Podcast on demand in the ESPN app. And subscribe to the LeBatard and Friends Podcast Network featuring South Beach Sessions, Stupidity, and Mystery Crate. Please rate and subscribe. New episodes are posted every week wherever you get your podcasts.
Mike, what were you telling me a second ago about iPhones and lawyers and whatever it was? I didn't hear you because Stugotz was too busy giving me Embiid Simmons takes to the side of my face.
I believe Ryan Johnson's the name of the filmmaker. He did Knives Out, which got a lot of critical acclaim and is going to be given a sequel. Apparently, and according to this interview that he gave Vanity Fair, in order to show one of Apple's products, or specifically an iPhone in one of their films, you need permission. And Apple allows anyone to show an iPhone on their film, but there is one interesting catch to it. If you have a film that features a villain, Apple will not sign off on the villain being able to use an iPhone. So if you see an iPhone in a film, it's never a villain because Apple intends it to be that way.
Doesn't want the brand association of having a villain. I mean, honestly, would they lose one customer if a villain was, if for some reason
Samsung needs to come up with a whole ad campaign just for the villains out there because they need phones too.
Right.
But if
are you a scoundrel?
If Joaquin Phoenix had used an iPhone, that counts as a villain, right? It counts. It must.
What, Joaquin Phoenix the person?
Not Joaquin Phoenix the person as the Joker.
No, it was a period piece. Yeah. The iPhones weren't around at that time in
So
Gotham
the Joker
City. This
using
was like
an
a noir
iPhone, right?
film.
But you understand why Apple doesn't want Hannibal Lecter using an iPhone, right?
A certain villain, maybe, but I don't associate the use of an iPhone with either a villain or a hero. Like, who cares? And answer my original question, do they lose a single customer, if the villain is holding and using an iPhone?
Can you imagine if after Scar let Mufasa fall to his death, Scar pulled up an iPhone and made an order to like Uber Eats? It would have been jarring. You would have associated the iPhone with a horribly traumatic moment.
I'm thinking back to the famous Scream scenes where they open up with the phone call.
Look what it did for landlines.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Killed it.
If they were to remake that now, they could use an iPhone, but now they can't.
So it depends on the villain, right? You want Hans Gruber on an iPhone?
I don't understand why it is that Apple would have to go to those lengths, but regardless,
They're pretty successful though. So
I mean that's true. That's really the only thing that we should measure
Way to
anything
carve out
by,
the lane
right?
of telling Apple what they should do.
They are pretty successful.
Always the critic, man.
Not
media types.
I will. I can't help but marvel at this. I don't think that this is necessarily because the economy is so robust. I think that we have developed such an addiction to these devices that every single time I walk by one of those "It's the Lobby in Heaven" lit Apple stores, what I see happening in there in terms of people like elbowing each other to get the next hit on the addiction, it seems to me like the very height of commerce that I've never seen anything like the success that these people can have peddling this particular addiction to the masses. It feels like if you could just buy heroin openly and you'd have a never-ending supply of people walking in to the heroin store.
You know what you don't see? Villains.
Villains opposite heroin.
These stores they're chaotic, but it's organized chaos. I love shopping and going in the Apple store. You walk in, you got a guy with his pad. He puts you on a list. He's like, go stand right over there, and someone will walk right up to you. And then
But the line is 50 long.
It's not even a line. It's just people all waiting because you're put on this iPad list. It looks chaotic from the outside. I'm telling you, walk in there, it is not. It's someone gets right in your face, and they put you on a list, and all of a sudden you're talking to somebody in 2 minutes.
And one of the previous and finalies from today's show, only 18% of Americans know how to drive stick shift. We keep moving towards a society, automated cars. Yeah. Why texting and driving is too dangerous? No. Go back. Every car is a stick shift. You got to use both hands to drive now. Guess who can't text?
And both feet.
Wow, and feet.
Let me ask you guys this question, because as you know, I am aging at a precipitous rate around here that you notice every day in all the names that I get wrong. And I am generally not someone that you would identify as hating the success of others. I don't sit here and create these fears and concerns out of nothing. But every time I walk past an Apple store, what I see, ants crawling on top of each other, I don't know if it's my insecurity about age that makes me feel literally unplugged from this. But I'm not telling you, when I see that amount of commerce, it scares me. Like I look into an Apple store and I get scared by the way people are crawling around on each other, whether it's organized chaos or not. And I'm willing to admit that that's a product of my age and that no one else is feeling that.
Yeah, I'm happy they're yeah. No one else is feeling that. I'm actually happy that people are going out and getting sun, because the thought of going to a store now, even that seems outdated.
Supposed to make their own phones? Like, what do you do?
Now I'm picturing you walking by one of those stores, be like,
like Captain Hook around the clock.
I feel it, man. I don't want you to feel alone.
No, that's
I feel
fine.
it with you.
I don't need.
Yeah.
It's okay. I can feel alone with this. I'm just curious. I'm asking everybody because I'm curious if anyone who can hear me thinks or feels anything that I'm talking about here.
No, but Chris is right. It's organized chaos, and it feels like from the outside, if you're old walking by like yourself, that you would go into that store and it would take you 90 minutes, perhaps 2 hours to get in and
It
out.
takes a long time if I don't have an
It's-
appointment,
it's
no
like
matter
these are
when I
not-
go.
No, it depends. It's like a deli ticket. It depends on the deli you walk into. If they're doing it right, I know it seems if you have number 81 and they're on number 31, you feel like you're going to be there for hours. But if you walk into the Apple store of delis, I'm telling you, you're in, out, 25 minutes, done. See ya. It's not as daunting as you think, Dano.
it's really not scary. You know what scares me? Heights.
Yeah, murder, bad guys, famine,
Ghosts.
ghosts. We can all.
Whoa! That was weird.
Not the Apple
Dan's
store.
walking by an Apple store, you get scared.
It's like a horror movie for me. If I were Jordan Peele, I'd be making a horror movie in an Apple store.
Honestly, judging by his face, what really scares him is just an apple.
Well, I don't have to worry about this because I have an Android.
Oh, the worst.
Wow, you ruined the joke that Mike had.
We have run out of space for all of our awards.
How the hell did you guys already put imaging together for this?
In the world is Allison Turner.
We send her out somewhere in the world, and someone has to find her.
Yeah, and we give clues.
And they have to go up to her with a picture of a ball or an actual ball. An actual ball. You have to show up with an actual ball. And if you find her, you get the shoes.
Where in the world is Allison Turner?
I don't think you guys are understanding the nature of my fear. It's not that I fear electronics. It's that I fear that like 4 people are going to have all the money in the world soon. Like 4 human beings. It's pretty bad.
Hopefully I'm one of them.
It's-
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Rosie Perez expected to join us here in just a minute on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Ben Simmons has a nerve impingement in his lower back and will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. Manchester City have formally lodged their appeal against UEFA's 2-season ban from the Champions League to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. City was also fined 30 million euros for overstating its sponsorship revenue in its accounts and failing to cooperate in the investigation. And finally, a woman in Pittsburgh has become the first documented case in a living person of an unusual medical condition where alcohol naturally brews in the bladder from the fermentation of yeast.
You guys think that I'm sitting around and I'm talking like a crazy person because we're addicted to devices that can listen to us, track us, and all of the money's going to one place. Like you guys think I'm the crazy person by fearing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you are.
SportsCenter brought to you by Bolt 24. An athlete is an athlete 24/7, and part of always being prepared is always being hydrated. Bolt 24 has antioxidant vitamins A and C, electrolytes from watermelon and sea salt, and no artificial sweeteners or flavors. Bolt 24, all-day hydration for all-day athletes. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
We love talking to her. She is our boxing authority. Rosie Perez joins us now. She was dealing with important things over the last 4 or 5 days. She was testifying at the Weinstein trial. Thank you, Rosie, for joining us. Let's talk about boxing first, because that's why we have you on here. What did you expect to happen going into that fight, and what was your level of anticipation for the Wilder and Fury fight?
What I expected to happen definitely did not happen. I was shocked. I was screaming like a crazy Puerto Rican at the TV screen. I didn't think that Wilder was going to look so poorly. I mean, Tyson Fury just gave him a beating, a humiliating one. And, yes, there was a back-of-the-head punch on the third round, and that kind of changed things. Some people said it wasn't back of the head. Whichever the case it was, he was done from that point on, and it was shocking.
Do you think, what do you think, because you're more of an expert than I am here, but I was stunned that Wilder lost his legs so early in that fight as somebody who comes into the fight fitter than Tyson Fury. What is your theory on, he said it was the costume. I think it's that he was bleeding from his ear. Do you think it was the punch to the back of the head?
I think it was that punch, because whether it was to back of the head or not, it snapped his head. It snapped his neck, and his equilibrium was off from that point on. That said, I have to give Tyson Fury a lot of credit. I think that he mentally whipped his ass way before the fight. When you saw the weigh-in, when Wilder pushed him, it took him a lot of effort to push Tyson back. And Tyson at that point said, I got him. And he pushed him so hard like the bully they both are, but he was like, I'm not going to be bullied by you because I'm a bully too. And when you saw them in the dressing room, Tyson Fury is still poking fun at him. Wilder is just getting more and more defeated mentally. I saw that even before in the dressing room. I turned to my cousin Sixto. I said, Wilder's going to lose tonight. And everyone was like, no way. I said, he's going to lose tonight. You know, Tyson Fury's punked the man. And that's exactly what happened. But I think that the crunk gym, walking the man down, being the aggressor, you know, missing but making it count this time, because the first fight, Tyson Fury made Wilder miss a lot, but he didn't make him pay for it. This fight, he missed, he allowed him to miss, and he definitely made him pay for it. And the power that he had, the extra poundage that he had, and the mental fortitude made him the champ.
Rosie, do you feel like his corner did the right thing? Wilder's corner did the right thing by throwing in the towel?
Heck yeah.
Right.
100%. There have been so many unfortunate deaths in the world of boxing last year alone. Why go out on your shield? You know, Wilder has a wife, has kids. Why? Why would you want to do that to yourself and your family? You know, so I thought that Mark Breedlin did the right thing. Safety first. Safety first, man, because all that other false bravado is just BS. And it really angers me that people on social media, you know, go and attack Mark Breedlin for doing the right thing. He did the right thing.
Well, and his own fighter doesn't like that he did it and says he's going to talk to him about it because of how displeased he was by it. But listen to Max Kellerman. He does not agree with you here, Rosie. I want a strong Puerto Rican rebuttal for what it is that Max Kellerman had to say here.
Everyone's talking about it was a great stoppage. Honestly, I understand why they stopped it. Right. The heavyweight championship of the world is the one time where I understand when the fighter says, I'm willing to risk my life to do this. He should, yeah. I'm willing to sacrifice on the altar of greatness. Yes. I think the corner has to take that seriously. And Deontay has the kind of power, even though he looked like he was about to topple, he was dangerous until the end. Even if it looked like he wasn't. The man has unnatural power.
Rosie?
In all due respect to Max Kellerman, come on. You're saying it's okay if he dies in the ring? What kind of crap is that? Give me a break. Seriously? Seriously. Yeah, I understand it's a heavyweight fight, but my goodness gracious. Of all the heavyweights that we've seen take so much damage, listen to me. Everybody may criticize Mayweather, but Mayweather left the game with his mind intact. I'm not talking about the man personally. I'm talking about the man as a fighter. You know, people criticized him because he was on his bicycle running away from the punch. That's what you're supposed to do. Hit and not get hit. Nobody criticized Willie Pep when he came up with that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, no, I don't buy that. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. Sorry, Max. I love Max, but you're wrong.
There you go. How do you deal with Rosie as someone who, just recently found herself in the middle of this country's awakening when it comes to the way men have been treating women. How do you reconcile or juxtapose the two ideas that you love Floyd Mayweather's boxing, that you love his style and you appreciate his greatness, and also he's been pretty historically awful to women?
I think that how Mayweather has been towards women is historically awful, and I agree with you. And I also say he is a great fighter, but I don't think that he's a great man, but he's a great fighter. And I say that with the utmost respect. In regards to Weinstein, he made a lot of great films, and he's still a convicted rapist.
I don't know how much you want to talk about this, and I don't want to lead you to sensitive areas if you just prefer to keep it to boxing, but you recently testified at the Weinstein trial on behalf of your friend. How difficult was all of that for you?
I can't talk about what happened inside the, courtroom specifically, but I have to be completely honest with you. It shook me inside. It was a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. I went there to tell the truth. I told the truth, but the entire atmosphere was extremely intimidating, and you know that you're testifying on worldwide stage, and you wanted to get it right, and it was difficult. It was difficult, and I didn't tell that to anybody yet, so this is the first time I'm saying it, but it was very, very difficult. I went home to my husband, and I said, I feel like I got hit by a Mack truck, and, I will say this, is that when something really bad happens to you and you look around for people to have your back, you hope that there's at least one person there, and that's why I did it. You know what I mean? That's why I did it, and but it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all.
Well, when I look at you, Rosie, what I see and what I've seen since we've known you is a strong, strong woman. Why were you surprised by getting there and just feeling the weight of it? Why did it surprise you?
Because the seriousness of it all. I understood that it was very, very serious, and everything like that. But you're there to tell the truth. You tell the truth, and someone's trying to say that you're not telling the truth. And they are saying it over and over and over. And as the hours kept passing, you had to, it was like all 12 rounds, and you had to remain calm and composed and find that inner strength within you to keep going. And that's exhausting. It was exhausting. And, even though I know I did the right thing, I know I told the truth, in essence, I know I won that fight, I still got beat up. You know what I mean? I still felt a couple of punches there. And that's just being honest. When you see the other people that came forward and them breaking down on the witness stand, that wasn't theatrics. It was very, very difficult. It was very, very difficult, and so, I'm glad I did it. I have absolutely no regrets. I would do it again. If I had to do it again, I would be much more prepared. It would be a rematch that I would definitely win.
How do you feel? Rosie Perez with us on ESPN Radio. How did you feel hearing that he had been convicted on 2 counts?
It was bittersweet. It was bittersweet because how can 90 women come forward and then only 2 counts of a guilty come in? And it was, I'm glad those 2 counts came through. It was a watershed moment, not just for America, but for the world. But I just felt like he wasn't enough. I know there's an appeal, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then there's also, the trial in California coming up.
Yeah, more charges in Los Angeles. Rosie, always good catching up with you. Always an admirer of your strength and your work. Thank you for being on with us.
Thank you, guys. You guys take care.
All right, thank you, Rosie.
This show ain't free. Time for some ads.
Do not dress like me, people. Black tux can make you look better than you usually do. Tell them, Stugotz.
Yep, the Black Tux believes every groom deserves a better experience when it comes to finding formal wear, a suit or tuxedo for their big day. Did you know the Black Tux was actually started by two guys who had one of the worst tuxedo fittings you could imagine? It turns out they aren't alone in this frustration. Just listen to these one-star reviews from competitor tux shops that shall not be named. Go elsewhere. This place is pretty terrible, unless you are dressing like your grandpa for Halloween. We felt weird buying a suit from somebody so unhappy, we were afraid his bad vibes might follow us to our wedding day, so we left. Whether you are buying your outfit or looking to rent, you won't find a formal wear experience or designs like the ones you'll find at the Black Tux. If you want your wedding to be remembered for the right reasons, order your suit or tuxedo at theblacktux.com. Enjoy 10% off with code Dan. That's 10% off with code Dan. That's theblacktux.com code Dan for 10% off your purchase only at theblacktux.com.
We have ridden Stugotz in confidence to world domination.
Today on ESPN Daily, legendary boxer Manny Pacquiao has a new career in his home country, the Philippines. It's politics. Hear how he could make a go at president? Well, that's ESPN Daily with Mina Kimes. Presented by ADT. Download, subscribe, and review ESPN Daily. Available wherever you enjoy your podcast.
That doesn't seem really new.
No, it's not new except for the part that surprised Mina and also surprised me, the idea that he might actually win president. That is something that I did not have, that political career that was, fraught with a lot of financial difficulties where that was going to end. Stugotz, there are a handful of things in my professional career that I'm proud of. Some of them are special to me, working with my dad, this environment that we have here. But one of the things is a totally silly thing to be proud of, which is, and I am legitimately proud of it, when on Twitter you guys hate something about me and all I do is retweet it and then take your picture and blow it up so that everyone can see it. It is one of the great prides that I have that I'm able to do that because Stugotz I walked into the studio right now and Stugotz is looking at the polls and he's like, wow, you went on a barrage last night. And what he said to me is he's looking at one of the dudes whose faces has been blown up on Twitter. And this is what he says to me: Dan, someone has been training that person their entire life to not like you.
I mean, the guy never had a shot. I mean,
he was going to hate me. Just look at it. So anyways, at Batard Show on Twitter is where you go. You're arming me with the pictures, though. Like, that's the greatest of the delights. Lest you think I'm just bullying someone who's ugly. It's your picture.
It's maybe your greatest.
It's the one you put up proudly on your Twitter avatar because it's who you are. And all of you look more ridiculous than the next guy. Every last one of you. I am on a hot streak where they've never gotten worse. Like, it's just you look more and more ridiculous.
Yet oddly, they look the same.
And yet they all look the same. That's exactly right. At Batard Show on Twitter is where you vote on the polls. What do we have today?
Oh, man. Does the fact that 1 out of 18 people have a third nipple sound high or low? 91% of the audience said high.
I thought that was a crazy stat.
Yeah. Is that the funniest line Greg Cody has ever had on the show? I forget the line.
He said Deontay Wilder should have celebrated Black History Month by knocking out the white guy.
No. 81% of the audience said yes. Can you drive a stick shift car? I mean, kids nowadays cannot do it. You don't have to. No reason to. But 57% of the audience said yes. Old audience we have, Dana. Is Bezos donating $10 billion to climate change a wash? 76% of the audience said yes.
A lot of people are saying it should be more based on what Amazon is doing to the environment.
Does the show need to be talking about firing XFL coaches? Mike, you fired one earlier?
Tressman of the Vipers.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
Huge underachievers.
They were preseason favorites, right?
Yeah, I think it's no coincidence that Zorn and Tressman are the ones struggling. This is a new league, new rules. Quit doing your lame NFL stuff trying to fit these players into your lame
They're like
system.
me. They're walking past the Apple store and they get scared.
59% of the audience said yes, we need to be firing XFL coaches.
And he is terrible at the extra point math. Just awful. It's an embarrassment.
Over under 17 months and 26 days to get over an ex. 78% of the audience said under. I mean, probably takes longer than that. I mean, it's hard to get over an
I can't
ex,
believe you got me
right?
started
17 months,
on
a long
Tressman.
time.
This thing, it's an abomination. And what's his hiring process? Who did he beat out?
Is Pouncy Block one of the show's top 10 songs of all time?
It is absolutely. Mike, I'm telling you, every time we play one of these songs, there are more people who haven't heard it than people who have. I don't know why we don't play some of these songs more often.
67% of the audience said yes, top 10 song. Those
It's
are the
great.
polls.
It's
Yeah.
great. It's a great
It
song.
really is, yes.
Is there any chance that you guys remember that I want to do every day until I say stop a song on this radio
You
show?
want to alienate our biggest
Yes,
listening base.
yes, I'm
podcast.
Yes, that is exactly what I want to do. Yes.
You just heard the Don Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
All right, bye.